Please rise in body and or spirit and join us in singing For All That Is Our Life, number 128.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift that we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others share, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days
Good morning. Welcome to Second Unitarian Church. I'm Megan Dunning, a member of the Board of Trustees, and my pronouns are she and hers. Today, we are in person at the Admiral at the Lake, here in the 2U Sanctuary, and continuing to meet virtually via Zoom. We're glad you're here, whichever way you are joining us. If you are here in the sanctuary and would benefit from hearing assistance, we have devices available as well as noise-canceling headphones for both adults and children with noise sensitivities. Please see our amazing tech team in the back. As we continue to navigate needs for health and wellness, particularly related to COVID, we welcome you to wear a mask. We have masks available at the table as you enter the building. We especially welcome newcomers and visitors this morning. Finding new community and making new connections can be challenging. Please know, we're excited to have you here and we look forward to getting to know you better. If you'd like, there are blue mugs available during coffee hour that you can use to signal to others that you would like them to come up and say hello. While the Palmer Room is under construction, you might find it easiest to get your coffee and flow back into the sanctuary for some conversation. Additionally, we always need people in the kitchen after coffee hour, and that's a great place to see old friends and make new ones while lending a helping hand. Please do come on in, and folks, if you have open seats next to you, please put your hands up and let folks come in. And we'll keep letting folks slide in during service. There are seats, especially up towards the front, if you want to come and find a seat. Please come on forward. Our worship today is led by Reverend Jason Lydon, along with Lizzie Appleby as worship associate. Music is provided by the 2U Band and Director of Music, Carl Kennedy. Our time together requires a large group of people who make possible the worship, music, and the technical production. You can find many announcements about what is going on in church in your order of service, and I'd encourage you all to take a look at all the exciting things happening. You also feel free to take it home with you when you exit the sanctuary. As we greet our neighbors this week, we are going to try out doing so with a fist bump. This is a time to turn and greet your neighbor.
Good morning. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Good morning. I'm Brenna Lemieux, and I use she, her pronouns, and I'm going to share a few words today about why we give to 2U. So I have a background as a poet. I got an MFA in poetry, so I've spent a lot of time reading and writing poetry. And what I really love, thank you for the thumbs up, is the magic of poetry. So reading a poem there's something magical that happens with a good poem. You feel an emotion, you see a new thing in a new thing in a familiar way, or a familiar thing in a new way. It's transcendental sometimes, but it's also just words, right? And that is, to me, the frustrating and beautiful thing about poetry. It's just words and punctuation and line breaks. And somehow there's alchemy there when we put it together in the right way. And I feel the same way about this church. When my husband and I started coming here around 2018, we were looking for a community. We were looking for a group of people who would help us try to be better versions of ourselves and kind of push us over and over to do the things we wanted to do. And we found that here. And to me, that is the magic of this community. And there's also the spiritual component. I always joke, I'll be lucky when I get through a service without crying, so still a goal for me. But anyway, all that magic is made possible by money, by the concrete things. We have the electric bill and the internet and, soap for the coffee machine and on the dishes and all that stuff. And to me, that is also the magic, is like, I can't do this by myself. None of us can, but we can all contribute this very concrete, boring thing that makes it possible. So that's why we give. Thank you.
Good morning. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, youth, and adults, a people of many beliefs and traditions, bound not by the specific list of things we believe, but the values we share, where we keep love at the center. Whether you are joining us for the first time or the 1,000th time, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God some of the time, all of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. Whatever your race, whomever you love, whichever way you move in the world, however much money is in your pocket, you are welcome here. I invite you, when you feel ready, to take a breath in and out. And now, please rise in body and/or spirit and join in singing our congregational hymn, Spirit of Life, number 123.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Love in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Please remain risen and join me in reciting our covenant. We covenant
Covenant
to build a community that challenges us to grow and empowers us to honor the truth within ourselves. We will be generous with our gifts and honest in our communication, holding faithful to a love that embraces both diversity and conflict. Called by our living tradition, we will nurture spirituality within a vision of the eternal, living out our inner convictions through struggles for justice and acts of compassion.
If you notice there are seats in the middle, you could scooch right in and make space for people who are coming in a little bit later so that they can sit on the sides. We are full, which is wonderful, especially when you lost an hour of sleep. I'm very, very impressed. I told a friend this morning, right, yeah, praise yourselves, absolutely. Told a friend this morning, well, church will be sparse, but no, no, no. Well, in just a moment, Ryan here in the sanctuary and Harris at the Admiral will light our chalices, the symbol of our faith. And we light our chalices this morning with these words from the Reverend J. Abernathy Jr. We affirm that love is our greatest purpose. Accepting one another is the truest form of faithful living. The search for truth is our constant star. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to find hope in times of fear, and to live out our Unitarian Universalist values every day as a beloved community. Thus, we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life.
Our time for all ages, so could everyone young in body or spirit, or both, come up here? Good morning, everyone. So, okay, today we're going to be talking about generosity. And a lot of times people bring a book, but I didn't bring a book about generosity today. I didn't bring a story about it. I was hoping actually that we could build a story about generosity together. So we're going to play a game where we're going to make a story all together. So could I get everyone to stand up here in a line? No, it doesn't matter. It's a great question. You can stand up in any order. Okay, so this game requires us to story one word at a time, okay? So there are 3 rules, okay? The first rule, okay, here we go. So perfect, this is great. And you can turn around and face out. Yeah, we're gonna face everyone. Okay, so here are the 3 rules. First rule, talk only when the microphone is in front of you, okay? Second rule, say one word at a time, okay? And the third rule is listen to what else has said before you. Okay, are you all ready to make a story together? Okay, great. So I'm going to start here. Ready?
Once.
Upon
You want to say I'll go.
time
Ah.
there was
Fancy.
you
That swam.
Fancy.
goose or something. Geese. Blackbird.
Yeah.
Again,
That's okay.
Lost.
It's
Itsy bitsy spider.
Whoa. All right, we'll go around one more time. So just to summarize so far, there was a fancy zoo goose, and it lost its itsy bitsy spider. Lots of animals at the zoo. Okay, last part of the story.
The spider.
Was found. A fly.
Yeah.
Dancing.
feet.
Let's give us a round of applause. All right. So, okay, you all can sit down again. Thank you so much for letting me put you on the spot. So that to me is really wonderful because I didn't bring a story, but you all worked together to help me build a story. And frankly, I think it was pretty good. So that to me is generosity. If someone doesn't have what they need, but we can all work together to create that thing, then we'll be okay. So thank you, everybody. That was lovely.
You may have noticed that we are in our pledge season right now. Hopefully you've gotten some things in the mail, you've had conversations about giving, and you have seen that we have people speaking from our pulpit each Sunday talking about why it is that they give. And so you may notice that every week I try to remind you that we all make a pledge, a commitment to support the ministry of this church year after year after year. But in addition to this commitment that we make, we also take a collection every Sunday so that we can share with those who are doing justice work well beyond our walls. In just a moment, during the music, you will see a phone number on your screen to which you can use your phone and do text to give. And also, if you are here in the 2U sanctuary, there will be plates coming around into which you can put your change, your cash, or a check. For the month of March, we are sharing our plate with an organization called One North Side. And Karen Goldner has some words for us this morning.
Thank you. It's so nice to see everybody here on a beautiful March morning when 40% of the people in Chicago, including poor Lizzie, are sick. So I have been involved with One Northside really since I started coming to 2U, or shortly thereafter. It was through 2U that I got to know One Northside. It is a nonprofit community organizing group focused on the neighborhoods from Lincoln Park to Rogers Park. But we do work on all sorts of issues, from environmental justice to housing affordability to economic justice to police accountability. We don't win everything that we do, but we win a lot of it. And at a time, and what a time we're in, when I think our political leaders want us to feel despair, because despair is a tool of oppression, in my opinion. One Northside gives us a resource, a group of people to come together and make the most of the energy and talents that we have to make our city and our state and our nation and our world a better place. After service today, we're going to have the social justice table back in the back of the sanctuary, and Therina is here. And I think that one other organizer from One Northside will also be here to talk. If you have interest in really just about anything, I think that there's probably a campaign that One Northside is working on. And yeah, so that's all I'm going to say today. Thank you very much. Okay, now I'm going to switch back to being Lizzie. And I invite you to join me in reading our offertory words. The words are printed in your order of service and are on the screen. This church is the community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm it and enable its participation in the larger world around us. The offering will now be generously given and gratefully received.
I wonder if you've ever noticed in our order of service where it says improvisation. That means you will not hear that again, but thank you to Carl for this gift that we get. I want to invite you now into the spirit of meditation or prayer. And knowing that we have so much busyness and loudness and noise in our lives, let us take some time to be quiet together. I invite you to rest yourself in the spirit of gratitude. May we be thankful for the breath in our lungs, the beauty of our earth, and the strength of this, our beloved community. We hold in our hearts those who care for family and ill health, those who live with grief or chronic pain, those struggling with addiction or illness, seen and unseen. We are with you. For parents and teachers and all those whose primary spiritual practice is caring for children, we are with you. We pray for our neighbors in prison, for those who are struggling to stay afloat in the midst of poverty, for immigrants and refugees who are fleeing and seeking, finding new homes in our city amongst many. We are with you. We pray for all those living in harm's way. Pray for our planet and commit to work that will lead us away from the harms of climate chaos. As war and genocide continue, we pray that wisdom, compassion, and empathy guide the leaders of our world. May they and we be instruments of a just and lasting peace. Our lives are truly blessed by those who are encountering the final stages of life. We offer prayers of comfort and care, knowing this journey is far from easy. Into this, our shared silence across space, I invite you now to speak aloud the names of anyone you wish to lift up into the loving support of this community. With our deepest compassion, let us hold in our hearts those named and unnamed, those remembered and those forgotten. Let it be so. Amen and blessed be. During our ritual of lighting candles for joys and concerns, we want to continue to take care of ourselves and one another. In the 2U sanctuary, I will shortly invite you forward to light a candle, and as you end your time of contemplation and candle lighting, we invite you to use the hand sanitizer that's available. For those of us at the Admiral, I invite you to come forward. Take a pebble from one bowl, hold it tightly in your hand, putting your energy into the stone, and then knowing your joys and sorrows to be shared by this community, let it go lightly into the other bowl. And for those of us on Zoom, I invite you to join in by sharing your joys and concerns in our chat window. hold all these, our shared joys, celebrations, concerns, and sorrows close to our hearts. Karen, would you share our first reading, please?
Excuse me. Our first reading this morning is a poem entitled, "I Will Keep Broken Things" by Alice Walker. I will keep broken things, the big clay pot with raised iguanas chasing their tails, 2 of their wise heads sheared off. I will keep broken things, the old slave market basket brought to my door by Mississippi, a jagged hole gouged in its sturdy, dark oak side. I will keep broken things, the memory of those long, delicious night swims with you. I will keep broken things. In my house, there remains an honored shelf on which we'll keep broken things. Their beauty is they need not ever be fixed. I will keep your wild, free laughter, though it is now missing its reassuring and graceful hinge. I will keep broken things. Thank you so much. I will keep broken things. I will keep you, pilgrim of so. I will keep myself.
Thank you, Karen. Our second reading this morning is a video from the cast of Dear Evan Hansen.
Way people are feeling isolated and stuck in their own minds.
There's a loneliness problem in the world, and I think a song like You Will Be Found hits that note so hard.
Ultimately, You Will Be Found is that hopeful anthem that this whole show floats on. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found.
You know, you don't really act like a depressed sort of person.
There are a lot of people who feel like us. Dear Evan Hansen's addresses these themes that most adolescent people go through, and adult people too. And it does it in a way that makes you feel so much less alone.
I think that idea of being found or of being seen is really elemental to what it is to be a human being. This is a piece that allows people to experience that.
There's a place where we don't have to feel unknown.
Music is such a universally touching thing. It speaks to people.
If you break down every single line, it is something that you need to hear.
Every time that you call out, you're a little less alone.
Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, we've all felt those things.
It reaches deep in ways that words cannot.
It's one of those songs for everybody, whether you're dealing with anxiety, feeling alone, or if you're grieving.
You Will Be Found is about somebody feeling isolated, finally understanding that there's not only one person, there's quite literally an army of people who care about you.
This pandemic has made this realization of how much we rely on one another, how much we want to be seen by each other, how much we want to interact and hug people and be with them.
Oftentimes, the moment that we're in feels like the only moment that will ever exist. But that's not the case.
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you would fall and no one would hear? Well, let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand, and someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around. You will be found. 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 There's a place where we don't have to feel alone.
Every time that you call out, you're a little less alone.
If you only say the word, from across the silence, your voice is heard. Oh, oh. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you reach up and you rise again. Lift your head and look around.
You will be found.
You will be found.
You will be found.
You will be found. Out of the shadows, the morning is breaking, and all is new. All is new. It's filling up the empty, and suddenly I see that all is new. All is new. You are not alone.
You are not alone.
You are not alone.
You are not alone.
You are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground,
You will be found.
so let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. If you only look around,
You will be found.
even when the dark comes crashing through,
You will be found.
when you need someone to carry you, you will be found. You will be found. You will be
Thank you so much, band. Wow, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I must admit that I often find myself a little jealous of my Christian colleagues. Many Christians, Protestants and Catholic alike, they follow a lectionary. This lectionary assigns certain readings from the Bible each week that the clergy person is responsible to preach from. There's often one text from the Hebrew Bible and two from the Greek Bible, commonly called the Old and New Testament. As they prepare for their service each week, they are responsible for deep reflection on the meaning of the text that they've been assigned. They draw connections between them. They draw connections to daily life. They draw connections to what they understand the divine is offering through the words of this sacred text. Knowing that the words were written by human beings, there are countless interpretations of what the text means. When I was in seminary school, one of my favorite projects came from my Hebrew Bible class. We each chose a short passage, and then we were responsible to spend time digging through a tool called a concordance. This resource tracks all the different words the Hebrew or Greek has been translated into over the years. It also tracks all the different places in the Bible that the word shows up, allowing the researcher to dig into context. This text has been interpreted over and over again for seemingly countless generations, and it allows the reader to create a multitude of understandings when contemplating just a few verses. So why might I be jealous of my colleagues who have this responsibility of navigating a text that is seemingly impossible to come up with a single interpretation of? My jealousy stems from the assignment. As Unitarian Universalists, our services include texts of all kinds that the minister chooses. There's no assignment. There's no prescription. There is simply an open-ended responsibility to choose. At times, this choosing can be challenging. It can be challenging to know what needs to be spoken of from the pulpit. What do people want to hear? What do I think the congregation needs to hear, and how do I decide? I had a mentor who once told me, if you do not know what to preach about, you're not doing enough pastoral care. And it's through my relationships with each of you that I learn what it is that I should attend to week after week. It's through connection that I create services that I hope meet the needs of our community. And still, it sounds comforting to have an assignment. Direction sounds helpful. Plus, I find it endlessly fun to read what scholars have written over the decades about what each passage from the Bible might mean. What is the historical context out of which the text is found? What might a feminist analysis sound like? And how does an analysis of disability justice change the way the text is experienced? This practice of interpretation can be called by the fancy word exegesis. Exegesis is that deeply thoughtful exploration of what a text could mean. Now, despite this feeling of jealousy, there's also beautiful freedom in our Unitarian Universalist tradition to explore all kinds of texts. While we understand the sacred texts of the world have enormous wisdom, so too do we recognize that there is wisdom in secular words offered by creative and visionary writers of all kinds. There are little t truths and big T truths that are available to us through poetry, fiction, nonfiction, music, and art. In a postmodern sense, text need not be words alone. It can be any form of expression. I wonder what texts might profoundly influence your life. Are there books you have read that give you direction? Are there songs you have listened to that nurture your spirit? Are there pieces of art you have observed that changed your perspective on the world? I know there are many for me. It's not just the Torah, Bible, Quran, Tao Te Ching, or other sacred texts that offer wisdom. It stems from everywhere. Now, musical theater may not be the place you instantly go to for inspiration. Now, I don't really understand that myself as a devoted theater gay, but I suppose it could be true for you anyhow. We are UUs. Pluralism is a value, so you're entitled to your experience, I suppose. For me, though, musical theater has long been a place of inspiration. It's been a place of learning, connection, spiritual grounding, and even transformation. The musical Rent was one of the first that had such an impact on my life. The queer content, the non-traditional music, the story of AIDS, the honesty about drugs, the expression of need for radical change, it all taught me about the possibility of community care and resistance. It taught me about suffering and survival. It taught me about grief and healthy sexuality. It taught me about relationships, broken hearts, and healing. I'm enormously grateful to my sister for introducing me to Rent in junior high school. I'm grateful for the half dozen times I saw the musical live, including almost getting kicked out of one for singing along. Whoops. The usher came over. Shh. I thought that we could do some exegesis this morning on the song we just heard performed by the 2U band. How beautiful it was. This song comes from the musical Dear Evan Hansen. I've never seen it live, but they did make a movie version, and I've listened to the soundtrack. Now, that's not the same, but it's also impactful. This is a story about teen mental illness, brokenness, and overwhelming lies that also pave the way for incredible truth. The song we heard is the final song in Act 1 of the musical. Those Act 1 finales are often the best songs in any musical. The song is a speech delivered by the main character of the show, Evan Hansen. Evan has founded a support organization after a young person in his school, Connor, died by suicide. The big lie of the musical is that the two were not actually friends. And yet the message of his speech holds many truths. So as we go through the text together, I want you to imagine what it might be like for you to tell the truth, even when you're lying. We've been talking a lot about the complexity of truth the last couple of months. Lies can get away from us. Lies can hurt the people around us. Lies can hurt our own spirit. Lies can also push us to find some kind of truth that we can hold on to even amongst the brokenness. Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear, like you could fall, and no one would hear? Have you? Has the loneliness ever felt so overwhelming you didn't know what to do? Has it felt like you were abandoned by those you had previously felt loved by? Or maybe right now in this time of national and global brokenness, do you have moments of feeling alone? Like who you are doesn't matter. Or maybe who you are is under attack. Does it feel like you need to disappear? You know, I've been there. I've wondered what it would take to survive. I've questioned the possibility of getting myself free from what felt like a lost wandering in the forest where no direction felt like the right one. I know that I am loved and deserving of love, but there have been times when I've forgotten. when feeling like a burden was the dominant experience I had, where disappearing felt like the best option. Have you been there? Or let the lonely feelings wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay, because when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand. Hearing these words, I found myself thinking about James Baldwin's letter to Angela Davis. Angela Davis was arrested in connection to a resistance effort organized by Jonathan Jackson to free his brother, George Jackson. Davis had been active in the movement to free Jackson and had been outspoken in support of the Black Panther Party and Black liberation more broadly. After her arrest, a photo was taken with her in handcuffs. James Baldwin, visionary Black writer and speaker, wrote a public letter to Davis, and I want to share some of it with you. We must do what we can do and fortify and save each other. We're not drowning in an apathetic self-contempt. We do feel ourselves sufficiently worthwhile to contend even with inexorable forces in order to change our fate and the fate of our children and the conditions of our world. He concludes the letter like this: we must fight for your life as though it was our own, which it is. For if they come for you in the morning, they'll be coming for us that night. While Baldwin may not be writing about mental health, instead writing about state repression, the connections are still there. We cannot survive alone. It takes all of us to reach out to lift one another up. The reason we might believe we will be okay could be the knowledge that we are not, in fact, alone. We're connected with each and every person around us. Our Unitarian Universalism teaches us this. Our interconnectedness is often where we find the divine. Reach out your hand and take my hand. Your life is sacred. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So that the sun comes streaming in, because you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around, you will be found. These words, as I listen to them and speak them, there are times where they bring tears to my eyes. The title of this song, You Will Be Found, calls me to ask, by whom? Who will find me? How will they find me? If I'm to rise up again, if I am turning to those around me, if I'm feeling hands lifting me up, am I being found by those who love me? Am I being found by those who have similar experiences as mine? Am I being found by the divine, however I might understand it? And if I am being found, where was I in my lostness? Now, I understand that it's a little rude of me to ask just a whole bunch of questions, but as we've said before, Unitarian Universalism has questions for all of your answers, and there's always more to ask. I want to try to answer some of these, or maybe there are some answers in the song itself. Who will find you? Maybe the person sitting next to you right now. Maybe you can be found here at church on Sunday morning, or during a 2U dinner, or while singing in the choir, or volunteering with our children. Maybe you'll be found as you turn to your faith, a growing faith that reminds you how not alone you really are. Or maybe you'll be found by your friends, your family, your beloved. Maybe you'll be found at a protest or when you raise your voice so loudly that your pain gets heard and your truth is uncovered and the lies you've relied on no longer feel so necessary. Maybe you'll be found by God, Gaia, by Spirit, by the beauty of the infinite universe. Maybe you'll be found by turning inward and seeing the beauty, the incredible beauty of who it is that you are. As Evan Hansen sings, you might be found simply by looking around and rising up again. You'll be seen as the sacred self that you are. Musicals may not be where you find your greatest truth, and I hope there are truths in these words that resonate with you. Sacred texts are not the only place where truth resides. You get to find truth wherever you turn, wherever you find yourself reading, and however you find yourself listening. Find yourself in words. Find yourself in experiences. Find yourself in the mirror. Find yourself in the faces of those around you. Now, I might find myself jealous of my Christian colleagues at times, but what a blessing it is to lift up wisdom in the pulpit from a multitude of sources, from queer content creators, from musical theater writers, from brilliant composers, and most importantly, wisdom from you. I am endlessly appreciative to those of you who reach out to me, who share with me, and who allow me to journey with you through this messy life of ours. Thank you for showing me what needs to be shared week after week. You help me find myself in our faith. May we all do the work of lifting each other up and helping one another find our true selves. For indeed, you are not alone. Let it be so, and amen. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. hands upon your heart, or clasp hands with those you're sharing your life with, and hear these words yet again. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need someone to carry you, when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So when the sun comes streaming in, because you'll reach up and you'll rise again, if you only look around. Look around here, beloveds. You will be found. Go in peace.